That's
Yeah.
not. I'm gonna unmeet it there because that stores it to the cloud, and it needs to be stored to my computer.
Recording stopped.
Very good.
Recording in progress.
There we go. Well, have a very short Michael White gift this morning.
David White.
This says Michael White. Maybe it's a different Michael. Different.
That was your secretary.
Well, let's see.
What's the poem?
Enough.
Yeah, that's David.
David White. Well, there you have it. A failure of footnoting. My license to teach will be revoked immediately for imprecision. All right. Ready? It's brief, so we got to be here for it. Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here. This opening to the life we have refused again and again. Until now. Until now. Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here. This opening to the life we have refused again and again. Until now. Until now. This life right now. This breathing in, this breathing out. We might conjure up, bring to the fore, a contemplation on gratitude. I had a hot shower already today. The electricity worked. Hot coffee, cream. I woke up in a warm bed, dry. Living at a pinnacle of privilege and comfort. Grateful for Zoom and grateful for that which results in us creating community together. And fundamentally grateful for the Dharma. Grateful for the capacity to awaken from the dreams of thinking and memory and planning, to just be here sitting. And let's remember the possibility, the blessing of the refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I take refuge in being awake, in the mystery of consciousness. I take refuge in the Dharma and the way things are, in the laws of physics and chemistry and karma. In the facts of loving kindness and compassion. And I take refuge in Sangha, the long lineage of those who have brought these teachings down to us over all these generations. The Sangha of this gathering, which for a time provides support and encouragement for us, and the Sangha of all life. And what is it that we actually have now? There's the life of the body. Contact with the chair. Life in the hands. Life in the face. And the life that manifests as in-breathing and out-breathing. There is a certain quality of intention or very gentle effort to allow awareness and breathing in to meet. At the very first beginning of in-breathing, awareness is present. And then through the rising, the expansion of all those tissues and bones, to the moment of deceleration and then stopping and then beginning the long journey of exhaling. Of course, it's likely that there will be thoughts, emotions, the five hindrances frequently make their appearance. There could be wanting, craving, desiring. Could be in the future imagining, when I get this, when I have that. All will be well. Or its opposite, aversion, disliking, the mind striking against the object of being, of experience. There might well be restlessness, agitation, and worry. What will happen if this happens in the future? How shall I prepare? Who is to blame? There could be sloth and torpor, dull, sleepy, unmotivated. There could be doubt. What's the point? Remarkably, none of these are personal. No more so than the weather outside. Perhaps you find noting helpful. Rising, rising, falling, falling. Wandering, wandering, returning, returning. Nothing elaborate, just pointing at this is what's happening now. The mystics say that there's nowhere to get to. There is no achievement to pursue. It doesn't mean there isn't action. But there's no one to achieve anything. And so we're able to taste the sweet relief of simply being here, now, not in preparation for some grand event later in life, not because it will make us a better person, simply because now is what there is. And so we get to rest in in-breathing and out-breathing. We get to rest even in the arising of the 5 hindrances. They're just weather. They're just natural phenomena. Each breath has its beginning. It has its rising to fullness and its decline and then its vanishing. And if we pay attention to this present moment, when does it begin? When does it end? It's a sort of meaningless question, isn't it? The present moment is a seamless arising and passing away of phenomena. There is a popular bad habit among human beings of cherishing resentments, of holding on to and identifying with stories of prior betrayal, betraying ourselves, betraying others, others betraying us. So we have these stories of intrusion or neglect. And one of the practices that we can do, in addition to that of waking up in the present, has to do with forgiveness. The intention of forgiveness is to relinquish the past in order to live happily in the present moment. And even the smallest clinging to resentment locks us into the past. There are many ways to do forgiveness practice. This one I've been taking some delight in lately, and it's from Matt Flickstein. I'm going to read a couple of pages and then guide us in a short forgiveness practice. It begins with loving kindness. There are 3 distinct forms of love: sensual love, emotional love, and loving kindness. Sensual love is the love we have for sense objects such as food, art, music, movies, and physical intimacy. Of course, there's nothing wrong with this type of love. We all want to enjoy what life has to offer. Emotional love is similar to sensual love in that it is also based upon an external object. In this case, the object of our love is another person. There's nothing wrong with this form of love either. We all want close and meaningful relationships. Sensual and emotional love, however, are associated with a specific limitation. Both of them are based upon the pleasant feelings we experience when we are with the objects or individuals for whom we have affection. The limitation is that when those objects or individuals no longer elicit the pleasant feelings we crave, the love we felt also disappears. Loving kindness or altruistic love is not based upon objects, experiences, individuals, feelings, or the need for reciprocity. This noble emotion creates neither attachment nor dependency. With loving kindness, there is no trace of partiality or preference. The presence of loving kindness transcends the duality of love versus hate. It is characterized by unconditional kindness, friendliness, and caring for all living beings. Loving kindness is boundless and manifests as the aspiration that everyone finds true happiness and harmony in life. Perceptual distortions. There are 3 perceptual distortions that inhibit the experience of loving kindness: resentment, self-judgment, and self-absorption. The presence of any of these distortions tends to keep the mind fixated on the relative and dualistic levels of awareness. Resentment. Resentment is quite different from the experience of momentary anger. Anger typically flashes into consciousness and dissipates quickly. Anger often arises when we feel frustrated, outraged, insulted, or unfairly treated. Resentment, on the other hand, is anger held over time. It festers in the mind and heart. We can feel resentments toward our parents, our children, our current partner, our ex-significant other, or anyone else in our lives. It can even be directed towards someone who is no longer alive. One difficulty in letting go of our resentment is that we may believe that our resentment is justified. We may have been hurt, betrayed, abused, or abandoned by those in whom we placed our trust. The mind says, why should I not feel resentment toward them? No matter how much pain we have experienced at the hands of another, maintaining resentment will not change what occurred. Maintaining resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the person we resent to feel the effects. Resentment only rebounds on us and destroys our own chances for a happy and peaceful life. The ultimate cost of resentment is that we are unable to experience the non-dual nature of life and true loving kindness. The cost of maintaining resentment is always too high. This following is a selection of a discourse given by the Buddha concerned with loving kindness and the importance of living without hatred or resentment. Let no one deceive another. Let no one despise another. Let no one, through anger or hatred, wish harm upon another. Even as a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world. The key to letting go of our resentments is to cultivate forgiveness. We must forgive everyone who we believe has ever hurt us in any way. Many find forgiving difficult because they confuse forgiving with forgetting. When we forgive, we let go of the emotional pain that keeps us anchored to the past and to dualistic thinking. Forgiveness, however, does not mean we forget. We forgive, but remember the lessons we learned from the challenging experiences we encountered. And so, my friends, please now Go even deeper in your practice of presence. Let your body in its singing aliveness be present for you. And now, using the imagination, imagine that you're in a room in which the only furnishings are two chairs facing each other. You're sitting in one chair and the chair opposite you is empty. Behind the empty chair is a door. And we're going to invite someone to come in that door. Someone toward whom you hold resentment. Someone toward whom your heart is clenched like a fist. And it's important that you be safe. And even though this is happening in imagination, it's useful to remember that you could imagine that you're meeting this person through the 2-inch thick plastic that they have in banks, or perhaps on a TV set. This is particularly true if what happened with this person is dangerous, if you experience them as dangerous. If not, simply let them come into the room. And so there's a knock at the door. You pause and you wonder, who is this? And you ask the person to come in. Into the room comes someone you have resented for some time. It can be a person presently in your life, someone from the past, or even someone who's passed away. If several people come to mind, allow in only the person for whom you have the greatest amount of resentment. You'll have an opportunity to meet with others at another time. Notice your reactions. Notice the thoughts that come to mind. Ask the person to sit in the chair facing you. Look directly into their eyes. Imagine that they really want to be forgiven, because everyone does. No one wants to be the object of resentment, even if the person resented will not admit that they wronged someone. Remember that you're not condoning or approving of what the person did. You're just trying to let go of the anger, hatred, and resentment that you have been holding on to. Really come home to your own body. And remember that forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. You may still never have contact with the person again. You could maintain the court order, keeping them at a distance, or you could be sure they never get your phone number. But you can let go the clenched fist, the clenched heart of resentment. And now remember the story, what it is that you tell yourself about what this person did or didn't do. You've told this story many, many times. It's your grievance story. And there might be some conversation to be had. What if this person sitting across from you has in the meantime developed really fine communication skills? What if they've done a lot of therapy and meditation and they really want to be forgiven? They really have remorse for what they did. And there could be a dialogue, and it could go on for a short time or a long time. It could be something you would take to a journal sometime and write out the conversation. As you say the following, it's helpful to remember exactly the story of what the person did. That's the source of your resentment. If emotions emerge while you do this, go back to following your breath until you feel calm and centered once again. As you look into the eyes of that person, say to them, and of course, as I read this, you could use your auto-translator. This could be any voice you would like it to be, your own voice, the Buddha's voice, the voice of Kuan Yin. As you look into the eyes of that person, say to them, I forgive you for the hurtful things you said to me. I forgive you for the lies you told me. I forgive you for the lies you told others about me. I forgive you for all you have done to hurt me. I forgive you for betraying me. I forgive you for all the threats you made. I forgive you for not forgiving me. I forgive you for not treating me in the same way you treated others. I forgive you for judging me so harshly and thinking so badly of me. If this hurts, let the hurt be present. Try not to resist any of the feelings that arise. Begin to relax and allow the resentment to dissipate. From your heart, say, to the best of my ability in this moment, I forgive you. Allow the person to be forgiven. Please remember that this forgiveness process is a gift, freeing yourself from the emotions that have kept you bound to the past. Let your heart open to this person even more and say to them once again, I forgive you. Allow the person to stand up in order to walk out of the door. There might be a few more words to be said. If it's comfortable and safe for you to do so, hug the person before they depart. The person now turns and walks through the door, opens it, and leaves. Take a deep, cleansing breath. Someone else may be waiting to enter the room. Decide that another time you'll come back when you're strong and ready, and take the seat of forgiveness again, to allow the layers and layers of holding on to the past to melt away. And establishing yourself now fully here in this moment, Feel your body in the chair. Feel your breath coming and going. There's another thread of forgiveness, of course, which involves forgiving the person closest to you, yourself. But for now, that's a practice for another time. But maybe let's bookmark it. Yes. Yes, I really want to remember the things that I hold over my own head, the ways that I am unforgiving toward myself. I really want to bring them to mind and cease torturing myself. So here we sit. Here in the eternal now. And the more we establish ourselves in awakeness now, we can perceive directly the madness of holding on to resentments from a past that exists now only as thoughts, only as emotions. As we deepen our awakening to the fact that the past is really over. And so we're here to live fully, intimate with ourselves, telling the truth to ourselves. And so here we sit and breathe. Sounds may arise in the environment around you. I would like to call to the altar of our hearts Ruth Dennison. And please think of your own teachers, those who made such a big difference in your life. Call them to your heart. Gratitude. There are so many in our lives who have held us aloft and pointed in the direction of love and compassion. May they share in the merits of our practice. May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. May human beings, animal beings, tree beings, may our brothers and sisters of the air who fly in the air, who inhabit the trees, who live on the ground, who live under the ground, may all beings, may all those who take birth awaken to their true great nature. Well, that's the news from Lake Wobegon. The Torlofsons are out there on the road again, fixing another tire. Another young couple fell in love down at the dance hall the other night. Life goes on. So, Jessica, thank you for that prompt and request yesterday. I want to be bold and just skip announcements and say, how are you? How did that strike you? Do you feel lighter? Did you realize that there's more of that to do? There's another guided meditation, quite different actually, on the portlandinsight.org. If you go to teachings, guided meditations, and then scroll almost to the bottom, it's the second one from the bottom. There's a 20-minute or so guided meditation there on forgiveness. Oh, I need to put on my headset or I can't hear.
Hi, Robert. It's Nicole from Maine again. Once you get me talking, I can't stop. Anyway, this is really weird because last night I've been having this resentment towards this person for a couple of years now, and I've tried different things, but I wrote down some stuff. But today I decided that I was going to go out and have goodwill and shovel her part of the driveway because I'm like, I don't know what else I can do to try to prove myself I'm letting this go. And then literally I came in a little bit late and you're reading that resentment thing. And I'm just like, I feel supported. Like maybe this really is going to happen. But, I find that I get angry with myself because, why do I have to keep bringing it up? Why do I have to keep being the victim? So that part about forgiving myself, I actually offered that compassion because I know for some reason, a part of me thinks that that's protecting me. And just to realize I'm not in danger. So thank you once again, Bullseye.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
You don't keep bringing it up. It's a conditioned phenomenon of mind. No blame. Just to recognize, oh, it's still here. I guess there's more work to do. And then it becomes really effortless. That there's no one in there to blame and hold accountable and all that business. There's just dukkha. And so to hold ourselves in loving compassion means, how about this? Let's say it, quote, comes up again. You could notice it as, oh, goodness, I'm suffering again from this. How can I be kind to myself?
Thank you.
Shoveling snow, huh?
Yeah, I just feel like I just had to put some goodwill somewhere.
Great.
So it wasn't bad snow, But thank you for offering me that compassion.
What is bad snow?
The one where the plow puts 4 feet of icy chunks in your driveway after you've just
and you
finished.
Can't get out till you shovel it. Oh man, yeah. When I was in high school, I got my spending money by having snow removal contracts with maybe 3 families. And so if it snowed in the night, I would have 4 driveways to shovel before going to school. It was wild. I'd get up at 3 in the morning and go shovel driveways. Was I fit? Oh, man.
Yeah, holy cow.
Yeah, thank you. Incidentally, one of the Buddha's proposals for someone that you hold resentment to is to offer them a gift. And poisoned chocolates don't count.
Hi, Robert. Hi, Sangha.
It's Amy.
Hey.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. I haven't spoken for a while. I just want to thank you for the forgiveness exercise. It was pretty powerful. I still have more work to do with the particular person that I was working with, but I did have a moment where you said the line, read the line, it's as if you're taking poison and expecting them to feel the effects. That really hit home. And I just suddenly got all this realization of the ways in which my resentment was only hurting me and the ways in which it limited me, and it didn't affect them. So what was the point? And I can't say I got all the way there to full forgiveness, but I got why I want to get there. I got that part. So thank you.
Which is, in a way, the whole of the journey. That a mid-course correction like that, then it just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows until we suffer less and less.
Yeah. I do still struggle a little bit with that line that you walk of forgiving and forgetting and lessons learned, and how do you hold on to the lessons but let go of the forgiveness? Sometimes it's tricky, right?
Huh. I wonder, is that true? I'm not sure that that's true for me. It's almost like if I believed in forgive and forget, I would have to create a denial wall. I have to exert energy to block, to have amnesia toward the event, as opposed to, yep, that all happened, and I'm going to be careful with my boundaries here. And when I think of this person, I really want to practice not tightening my chest and growling a little bit, and, wishing harm on them and all that can be restrained and dissolved over time.
Yeah, I guess, and this is a whole other topic, but I guess where it gets tricky for me with a particular person is that it's linked to thinking about that person as a representative of a group.
Aha.
That's a big topic, right?
Right.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. And not connecting, not making those leaps.
The big associative leaps. Well, and you can already talk about it, so you're 90% of the way there. To be able to see the process is huge. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Sangha. This is Kathy.
Hello, Kathy.
So, what helps me is when I think that everyone is always doing the best they're capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that if resentment only hurts me, which is, I adhere to that idea, then the only person I really have to forgive is myself. Because if the resentment hurts me, I have to forgive myself for hurting myself. And unless I have first judged and condemned the other person for what they did, I'd have no reason to forgive them. So I think I can only forgive myself.
Thank you.
Hi. Oh, I'm not visible. Hi, Robert.
Hello, Joy. You suddenly
Visible.
you became real. Hi.
Some of the time, yeah. I have trouble forgiving. I have a beloved friend, and somehow over the last couple of years, she became and she started going to anti-mask, anti-vax rallies. She was anti-trans. She was anti-Antifa. She's anti-Black Lives Matter, and I just feel like, and I stopped talking to her, but we were friends for 30 years, and I have trouble forgiving the direction her thinking has taken. And not only her thinking, but she goes to anti-trans events, and should I forgive myself for not being able to cope with her? Because there's an idea we should have empathetic conversations and try to understand the other's point of view, but I just haven't been able to get there. So, she turned into a different person suddenly.
I have a favorite book by John Wellwood. No, it's not John Wellwood. It's, what's his name? Jim, you were talking about him last night.
James Hollis.
James Hollis, right? His book, When Good People Do Bad Things, or Why Good People Do Bad Things. The first line is potent. It says, "The I that I know does not know enough to know that it does not know enough." The I that I know does not know enough to know that it does not know enough. And then the next few pages give an outline sort of Jungian depth psychology. And I summarize it like this. The conscious ego is a fragile island floating on a vast sea of unconsciousness we call the psyche. There exist within the psyche autonomous complexes, which can and do usurp the ego.
Oh, yeah.
So I would propose this. Your friend has gone mad.
Oh my God, really?
She's insane. She has lost contact with reality.
Oh.
And she's fallen into a cult of massive proportions.
Oh.
And it's not that she chose to do something. It's that she became infected by a belief system, by a way that her fears have been supported and manipulated. And here in the States, close to half the country, maybe not, it's not that much, but and there's an echo chamber of the social media and the anyway, there's a whole
Right.
there's a
You're-
whole
you're-
matrix of forces led by the imposter in chief and others, many others. He in fact he is really a figurehead for something else that's much bigger than him. So when I speak of this, I often remember I found in Carl Jung's work and his writing in 1923, I think, or 24, maybe a little later, he was doing analysis, dream work, in Zurich. And Zurich's on the border with Germany. So he had German patients and Swiss patients. And he articulated then something that he found very troubling, which was that there was something coming in the psyches of the Germans and not in the Swiss. A character that he called the blonde beast. And there was this energy coming through the German psyche, which ultimately found Hitler and popped him up. And I read an amazing book years ago, very dry but very powerful. It was called The Men Who Broke the World, and it was the cause of World War One, World War Two actually. I'm sorry, that France, and particularly France, was requiring so much. They were bleeding the Germans to death in reparations for World War One. And so the Germans were crushed, and they saw no hope, and it potentiated this whole thing. But that's kind of a far off the side. So I would say, what if you thought of your friend as having developed a brain tumor?
Oh God.
that has changed her personality and her behavior to someone unrecognizable. So
Yeah.
you might love her and also realize there is no way I can be in her presence because she's become too violent. She's become too aggressive. And in order to be with her, I would have to be silent, really, and just listen. Because there's a whole proselytizing thing that comes with that, the falling into that trance of the right-wing madness. It's not a political thing that's happening. It's a form of madness. It's being capitalized upon by politicians.
It's quite frightening when it happens to someone you've known for a long time, who you think of as rational, educated, a good person.
You
Very
bet.
weird.
I know.
Oh, yes, you can't argue because their counter arguments are pretty seamless.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also extremely forceful.
Absolutely.
And she's easily triggered to a lot of hostility, which is very strange.
Yeah, it's if I find it helpful to think of it as madness, that one is dealing with someone who has fallen into a violent cult.
Wow.
And there's no autonomy of thought, even though they may well say, think for yourself. Don't believe the CDC and the World Health Organization. Do your own research, right? So you do your own research and you find some moron who is on YouTube and who has 2.5 or 3 million followers. And then one bases one's decisions on them. And they're crazy.
So it sounds as though this sort of sidesteps the whole forgiveness aspect. It doesn't really relate to forgiveness.
Actually not, I think, because you can forgive the person. You can love them, but have really firm boundaries. I mean, this kind of stuff is happening in thousands of homes across the country. There, people are not being invited for Christmas or for Thanksgiving, or there have to be very strong rules. There's no. This topic is off the table.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a very strong statement, Robert. Okay. Thanks. I'll let someone else talk now. Thank you.
It's very sad. I have some significant grief in my own life. There's people that I simply don't really have relationship with anymore.
Yes.
And
yes.
God knows I have tried, but what you said about the aggressive, they won't stop.
Right.
It's like, let's not talk about that, okay? And they just bulldoze right on.
Well, we spent many hours, many times talking about the nefarious trans agenda. And it was just inexplicable because the trans people I know are just normal human beings.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, thank you for your thoughtful answer and meditation. And by the way, just as an aside, I did manage to forgive my father after meditating for a long time. And I really saw him as someone who was doing the best he could and affected by being a war refugee. And so that was very, very lovely movement. So thank you.
I believe the same to be true with the people who fall into this confused worldview. They're doing the best they can too. They're suffering information disease. And the conscious ego is a fragile island floating on a vast sea of unconsciousness. We're all vulnerable. The Buddha said that until awakening, the ordinary human being can be subject to any bad act. We can fall into greed, hatred, and ignorance.
Yeah, sometimes I feel good about I felt like I've become a sane person, but perhaps that's like subject to delusion or transit or impermanence as well.
Well, and what can we do? We can continue to practice and take time for our own sanity and be as loving as we can and forgiving as we can. And we may need to have some very firm boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't hang out with crazy people. No, that's not a nice way to say it. It probably is unskillful of me to say it. But I'm sorry, this relationship does not work for me. And right now, I can't be together with you.
Right now is a good answer. It could change in the future.
It could.
Yeah.
We had funny I'm saying we as an American, there was in the United States a humongous war with people who fell on different sides of different belief systems about slavery. I mean, families split. So one of the reasons Thanksgiving was really pushed, I forget what was Lincoln really pushed Thanksgiving, was to get families together again and get them to start talking again, because there'd been this humongous this idea. Yeah. And so it's a good thing to practice, I think.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just feeling a little, quote, self-conscious. It's like, oh dear. It's really hard for me not to have a strong opinion about this, what I see as madness. And the complication with that is that people can believe those things and they can still practice the Dharma. And to be, if there is someone here, I guess that's probably way too late, but if that's your belief system, then that's your belief system. But remember to look at the world through the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And that's quite separate from these beliefs. And I would say that the path leads toward love and compassion and the inclusion of all persons, all beings. So therefore, beliefs about, hatred of trans people or the whole LGBTQI. I remember being a teenager and being terrified about gay people, gay men, dangerous. And then I had the great good fortune of my first guru that I did my cult trip with, actually. That was a gay relationship for several years. And what an education. How wonderful to come to that. And from where I sit now, it seems so odd. Why would people be bent out of shape by who loves who? It's a very strange contraction in consciousness. I'm on a roll here, boy. Poof.
I have to jump in on this. OPB special a few days ago was about Native American musicians, of all things. And that community or that ethnic group refers to the LBGT community as two-spirited. And I just thought that was heavenly. It's so, it's just beautiful.
Thanks, Francine.
Yeah, enjoy the about your friend, and this is a story. A friend, a very dear friend for many years, and woman that I had traveled with and spent many times at each other's homes. She ghosted me, and after several months, I just pursued, and finally, she actually, I think it was an email or something. She told me, quotes, "I simply don't have the bandwidth for you." And as hard as that was to hear, I got it. And now it's been a really good lesson for me to judge, do I have the bandwidth? And sometimes, many times the answer is no, can't go there.
Thanks, Francine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a topic we could chew on for hours, I think.
I know.
But I need to go soon. Anybody cooking with something?
Hey, hi, Robert.
I hear two people.
Yeah, I just want to throw out, there was a wonderful quote by Robert Bly, and he said, no blame, just grief. And you could replace the word grief with anything. No blame, just anger. No blame, just sadness. I just love that quote by Robert Bly.
Robert Bly. Thank you. Yes. There was someone else speaking at the same moment as Laura.
It was me. It's Sky.
Hello, Sky.
Hi. I've been wanting to kind of jump in on this a little bit because before we demonize and vilify all the people on the side that it doesn't agree with our point of view. There are people on our side who have become so extreme.
Absolutely.
And we had a Thanksgiving with our trans daughter, only to discover that her viewpoints are so extreme on the opposite side into anarchy and anger and conspiracies that lens is being, turned onto me, and that I'm not doing enough, that, you know, they've lost all this respect because I choose to go into retreat, that I choose to have a spiritual practice. I mean, it was mind-bendingly,
Yeah.
what is this insanity? So
Yeah.
it happens in both directions is what I wanted to say. And it's hard, and thank God for your meditation today is exactly what I needed to hear. I so needed that forgiveness, and it's hard. Not everybody is generous, open-hearted, and anger is a madness that takes many forms.
Yeah. Thank you, Sky. That's a really good balancing perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Greed,
Yes.
hatred, and ignorance are not about politics. They're about human beings.
Yes.
Well, I feel like I've unleashed a bee's nest. And oh, dear. So how about this? May all beings who are just like us, who are us, who are lost in whatever delusional belief system we are. May we all remember to wake up and love each other. How about that? That's a
Yeah.
lovely, that's a better framing of it, I think. And I think the strength of some of my statements come out of my own grief and loss around this issue. That's true. So sad. So shall we sing our way home? May all beings receive all blessings. And the all doesn't leave anybody out. So please unmute if you wish, and we'll be our beautiful cacophonous choir. Bhavatu sabe mangalam. Bhavatu sabe mangalam. Bhavatu sabe mangalam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ya Fatah, my friends.
Ya Fatah, Robert.
Have a wonderful day, and let us be loving toward all beings.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Blessings, everyone.
Be well,
Thank you.
Sangha.
Thank you.
Be well, be well, be well.
Oh,
Thank you,
there it is.
Robert. Bye, everyone.
Yes.
Bye.
You got to time it right there, Robert. So be well, everyone. Have a good day.
Goodbye, lovely people. Bye-bye. Thanks for sharing, Laura. All right. Prepare for the leap to hyperspace. Whoosh.